Hey guys, what's going on? So today we are back with another video on Computex. Today we're going to be going over the best PC components on the show floor. The categories consist of best concept, best motherboard, best PSU, best cooler, best case, best SSD, best water cooling, best RGB, and that is it for our categories. I didn't do every single PC component or possible category because some of them just didn't really have a lot of things that I could put in there. It would make him interesting. So I did, most of this is based on what we saw at the show floor. We had a lot of stuff there to make content on. So the first thing is the best concept. So the best concept, in my opinion, is the 3M Novak case from Cooler Master. Now you might be saying, what about the Asus Prime Utopia concept? Now, the thing with the Prime Utopia concept is I think that's more of just like a marketing thing. The design doesn't look very good if you think about it. I mean, just my opinion, I don't think it actually looks very good. It's kind of cheap looking. It's not functional at all. And I think it's more just like a eye catcher, for the show floor. They just want people to come and see this and think, whoa, what is that? That looks like out of this world. That looks futuristic, which it does, and yes, it does look futuristic. It does look pretty cool, but it does not look like an actual product. It does not look good as an actual product. So that is my thoughts about that. But I think the Novak case is the best because, it really brings something new to enthusiasts that they've never had before. Like, you've never really been able to, do Novak cooling unless you are really a really good modder. You have all the access to this stuff. And honestly, Cooler Master is going to make it easier for more people to actually get their hands on. And I honestly think Novak is just one of the coolest things for PC cooling, and I would totally get that. So now, on to the best motherboard. For the best motherboard, in my opinion, all of the X570 motherboards, they all look good, but there's not really, none of them are really anything special, anything really amazing, like, they're just normal motherboards, which is what most people want, and that's the reason why they're launching them. So what my choice for the best motherboard is the SR3 Dark, and you might be saying, why would anyone buy that with the new EPYC and Threadripper processors coming out? But the thing is that it's for overclocking. It's also going to be cheaper and allow more people to get their hands on the Xeon 37. I don't remember what it's called, but the 28 core overclockable Xeon. And some people just want to be able to buy that. They are people who like Intel. Not everybody is chooses the best value per performance, best even best performance. Certain people want certain things, and so if you look, the top of the line Asus board, which is the scaled down version of the Dominus, versus the scaled down version of the SR3 Dark, which would be the X299 Dark, you can see there's $400 in between the two motherboards. The X299 Dark is $400, and the Omega X299 is $800. So we can expect something similar here with the C621 motherboards. So I think that's going to make it more portable. And anyways, it's a really crazy, really amazing. It looks amazing. It has amazing looking overclocking features. It has a built-in water block. It honestly looks like a really, really good motherboard. So on to the best PSU. The best PSU, we have seen a fair amount of PSUs at the show. Definitely some RGB. But my favorite was the Cooler Master Project Fanless. I don't know why I call it Project Fanless, but it is technically fanless. I think 600 watt PSU, and you can put in your own fan, and it's like a 1,000 watt PSU, which I think is really cool idea to have. The option to be fanless, the option to be not fanless, and it really introduces a lot of more possibilities. I do wish that instead they would just do this for a normal power supply and have an included fan, but you could just easily remove that included fan and replace it with whatever fan you would like, with included RGB hookups inside and fan hookups inside the power supply. I think that would be a really good idea, and I think not a lot of people are going to want a fanless PSU right off the bat, especially because it doesn't really show off the fan if you're going to put an RGB fan in as much as a normal PSU would, but I think it is a really cool idea and shaping up to be a really, really cool product. For the best cooler, my choice is the Noctua Passive Cooler. This is one of the craziest passive coolers we have ever seen, and it can cool a overclocked 900K, and it stays under 100 degrees. Of course, you need airflow, not airflow. You need a convection case in order for this to work, where the heat naturally rises in the case. Otherwise, this won't really work, and you will thermal throttle well. I mean, it may still work even in a dead airflow and no convection case if you have a lower end CPU. But for the 9900K overclocked, you're definitely going to need convection in your case, is what they said on the show floor. But honestly, there have not been a lot of passive coolers recently. I think there was like that Arctic one, which it's like a dinky little heatsink like this big, and it's just a few fins. Obviously, can't cool anything crazy at all. But this is really cool, and I know there are a lot of people who really value silence. And I think that this might spark a new wave of passive cooling, new like silent computing. So now onto the best case. My pick for the best case is the P400A, because I think this brings the mesh case to an already previously loved case, the P400. With it has a sort of a sleek, minimalistic design, unlike other previous mesh cases like the Mesh of IC. Obviously, there have been many others, but the Mesh of IC was definitely more of a mainstream. It was definitely a very popular case, but I think this is going to be even more popular because of the cheaper price point and the current standing that Fantex has in the sort of budget market. I think a lot of people are going to be picking this case if they want performance. Although, of course, it's not going to completely replace the solid panels, because people do love solid panels and people do love RGB. So the next category is the best SSD. For this, I picked the ADATA PCIe 4 SSD. Obviously, this does not have a name, otherwise I would have said it. But this SSD is definitely a huge game changer, in my opinion. And we're going to see some from other companies, but this one has had the most detail from what I can tell. And I do like the ADATA SSDs because typically they provide very good performance and they don't cost as much as the others like Samsung. What this is essentially it's PCIe 4 SSD with a maximum of 4,000 megabytes per second read speeds, and I think like 3,500 write speeds, which is insanely fast, much faster than most of the SSDs that we currently know of. I mean, faster than all SSDs that are really currently out. And this SSD, you might think, I guess a normal SSD, you get like 1 terabyte, 500 gig, 256 gig, but it has all that, but all the way up to 8 terabytes. So the biggest M.2 SSD we have seen is, I think, 2 terabytes, and the biggest 2.5-inch SSD we've seen is 4 terabytes. So this is doubling the capacity of the largest 2.5 SSD that is for the consumer and gaming space. So essentially what you could do with this kind of SSD capacities and speed is you could, like if you were building a super high-end souped up build, you could throw 4 of these into your build, and then you could have 32 terabytes of high-end NVMe storage. There would be no need for hard drives, no need for SATA SSDs. You could have it all right there on your motherboard, and it would be blazing fast. Just let that sink in, Like, people barely even have that on hard drive storage. And one of the reasons why most people don't do that is because it takes a lot of hard drives, You got to have a lot of space for your hard drives. A lot of cases only have support for 2 hard drives, and technically now, yes, it's possible. They just came out with a 16 terabyte hard drive, but that wasn't possible before a few days ago. So yeah, it's super easy, super convenient, and it allows super high capacity storage. But now we're on to the second to last category, the best water cooling. So for me, I would choose the Corsair Hydro X. And now this isn't any revolutionary groundbreaking product. There are definitely a lot of cool new features that we haven't seen before and some other things, but that's not really the main thing. The main thing is what it's probably going to do for the market. My assumption is it's going to be less expensive, although that's probably not going to be the main factor, because it's probably only going to be a little bit less expensive than your EK, your bits power stuff. My assumption is that it's still going to be pretty pretty expensive for water cooling stuff. Stuff is always expensive, but I think it's gonna get a lot more people to use it. Even though it's less expensive, it's Corsair, and a lot of people trust and know Corsair. You know, your known person building PC just for gaming might not know like EK Wirebox bits power. They might be confused by all that stuff, but they see Corsair, and you know Corsair's made it really simple for everybody to buy and know what to do with their products. I think it's gonna make it a lot easier for someone, you know, if they want to build the high end, the best of the best rig, you know, they can see, oh yeah, well I can just water cool it and I don't have to worry about the hassle of like actually figuring out how the hell do I even buy the parts for water cooling. So now for our last category. The last category is the T-Force RGB RAM. Oh wait, no, last category, that's the product. But the last category is the best implementation of RGB. And I think it is the T-Force RGB products that they released, such as their RGB RAM and their RGB SSD. I'm not sure if they used a certain word to call it. I don't exactly remember. But it is really good implementation of lighting. It is very diffused on the RAM and the SSD. You don't see any of the LEDs. It's just a really nice, you know, smooth lighting. And, you know, I've seen some people even confuse the SSD for a screen, like a LCD display on top of the SSD, which would actually be a really cool idea. Somebody should make that. But it is not. It's just very well diffused, very good gradient of colors. And the RAM looks really cool with the mirrored finish and the, you know, subtle sort of glow of the LEDs. So yeah, that's it for my video. It's kind of just, you know, saying what I thought was the best products, and you know, I think all of these products are going to be definitely very prominent, very big in the future when they come out. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave this video a like, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.